Hello, everyone, and welcome to another XTIVIA live session, What Enterprises Need to Know About Delivering Value in the Experience Economy with Lynn Scheurell. My name is Alex Killian, and I'm the video editor and digital media specialist here on XTIVIA's marketing team. Before we dive into our live session this morning, I want to tell you just a little bit about our company. Since 1992, XTIVIA has established a proven reputation as a company that delivers leading-edge IT solutions and technology support for our clients' specific requirements. Our service areas include mobile app development, BIDW, CRM, ERP, data management, web portal, digital experience consulting, and EIM services and solutions. XTIVIA's success stems from a demonstrated ability to deliver deep expertise via professional services, empowering our clients to leverage their chosen technology successfully, competitively, and profitably. XTIVIA has offices in Colorado, New York, New Jersey, Missouri, Texas, and Virginia. And today we will be hearing from Lynn Scheurell, the lead digital strategist for XTIVIA. Lynn has been creating experiences through content and copy in digital marketing and messaging since 1998. She is known for her unique perspective, positive, empowering mindset, and abilities as a high communicator to deliver significant value. She translates complex concepts into simple clarity for practical action. Lynn, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me. So without further ado, let's jump in. As I do that, I just want to share with the audience, I do have an Akita puppy, and I am fostering a 2-pound kitten. So I don't know, everybody's had tuna. I think they're going to be quiet, but just in case, wanted you to know that in advance. You just never know. So we are going to cover a lot today. We are talking about what enterprises need to know about delivering value in the experience economy. And so we need to talk about what is the experience economy. We need to explore the assertions that have undergirded, they've been underlying business up until now. We have to talk about those 2 assertions. We have to talk about the power of micro moments. That's all about experience. We need to talk about the symptoms of compromised enterprise. So that's going to be fascinating because you might see some of your own organization in that conversation. So we'll get to that. Customer experience is actually not the right goal. So we'll talk about what that means. How to have no competition. Wouldn't that be great? That's what we all want, right? So we're also going to talk about why enterprises aren't changing to adapt to this new level of conversation. We're going to talk about where we are now, and we're going to also talk about what's possible with reinvention, which is pretty much why this matters to you. So one of the highlights I really do want to pull out and direct your attention to is that profit is really just a byproduct of delivering value throughout all stages of the experience. So that, profit is the byproduct of doing all this other stuff right, okay? So it's just a natural outcome. So in looking at what is the experience economy, it's really about the experience that people have with your brand. And that's customers, that's users, that's partners, that's stakeholders, it's leaders. It's any person that touches your brand. It's going to have an experience of your brand, and that's what we're talking about. So user and customer expectations are based on their last great brand experience. So if you think about it, any enterprise is competing with Amazon, with Uber, with whatever their experience has been, that has set the bar and now creates that standard of expectation with that person. And that, by the way, affects users, in-house staff. They expect everything to run just as seamlessly. Those are your internal customers. So everybody expects this all to just kind of magically happen. And that's when we know that technology is working, because it's invisible. So the person actually just has the experience that is seamless and integrated and delightful, hopefully, ideally. And that's what we're going to talk about. So up until now, there have been really 2 abbreviations about how business has been done. So it's been either B2B, business to business, or B2C, business to customer. The reality is that business today is H to H. human to human. That's really what it's about. And it doesn't matter the scale or the audience or the industry or the vertical or the blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. We're people helping people. That's what it comes down to. That's the bottom line. And it seems like that's a little bit of a throwback to the way it was way back when through the history of time. And so for me, it feels a little bit like we're coming back to basics, and yet it's very sophisticated to be able to do that. So the way enterprise has always been done doesn't work anymore. That's the bottom line. So I think we got a little bit too far away from people, and I think that's coming back. And in terms of the experience economy, every touch point is an experience and needs to be thoughtfully crafted in order to yield the best experience of the brand for that person with that touch point at that time on their device. It goes all the way down the line. So let's talk a little bit about the two assertions of business. It was revolutionary in 1913 for Henry Ford to develop an auto assembly that reduced the time spent building a car from 12 hours, it was more than 12 hours, down to just 2.5 hours. And in doing that, he put in place a process template that business adopted as efficient for the next century, really. The problem is that outside of manufacturing, most enterprise today doesn't have a conveyor belt with identical parts that predictably create the same exact result for every customer. That definition of efficiency is now irrelevant for where we are in business today. Why? Because customer experience is not linear. In fact, customer experience needs to be personalized based on meeting the customer where they are versus where the business thinks or wants them to be in their buying journey and relationship with the brand. And even more, customer experience is not limited to the external buying customers, but as I said just a minute ago, it also includes internal customers, employees, leaders, stakeholders, and even in some cases, partners or affiliates. So the experience is a much bigger conversation. So let's get small. Let's go micro. So business today operates in many intangibles where in the moment experiences that are both within and outside the scope of influence for a given company, those experiences shape and determine success. And that parallels real life, right? Business unfolds through the customer's intangible perception of it as they experience it. The first place that I really figured out what that meant is a hotel. When you go to stay at a hotel, the room is there, the equipment, all the furniture, whatever you need, but really the experience happens based on who else is in the next room. Is there anything happening out on the street? I remember being in DC and at, Saturday morning at 6 a.m. being awoken by people banging on drums or something. It's like there's no way to predict that stuff. But that became part of the experience that I had with that hotel stay. So if you think about it that way, maybe that helps to understand the micro moment. And everything that touches or comes from the brand becomes part of that brand's experience. From social chat to an online review, to an article, to a casual conversation over coffee. Ironically, the brand may not even know their own story if an experience or perception has been shared or stated or published or promoted or whatever without their knowledge. If the brand is not in charge of that story, then other people are going to fill it in for them. So to restate the original point here, we are in the experience economy where customers control the brand's success or demise from moment to moment. The collective mindset of the enterprise has traditionally been focused on the assembly line. So, it's all about Henry Ford, right? The Industrial Revolution. So marketers have been trained to think in end product results that are similar for every customer as determined by the business, by the way, versus the customer up until now. So these results are produced by invisible customers of that brand promise. And then it does include employees, and it's all about the business infrastructure and workflows and technology. They all operate with that same linear construct. Things are starting to open up, but we're not in industrial business anymore. So enterprise today typically works as a natural outcome of using history as a compass, like we do in anything else. Where we've been helps us know where we're going for the future and tells us how to conduct business. At the same time, the best practices that we've learned up until now just aren't quite as relevant. We need to expand that definition. So the people who are buying goods are now speaking up about what they want, and they're voting with their dollars, and loyalty is a moving target. Business leaders may see the issue, but they may not know how to change things. It's about the Internet of Things, the technology, and it's where information comes together, and that all converges to give consumers more options than ever before. So there's one takeaway in this: what got us here will not get us there. The other is that the micro moments, the little hidden moments, those are the places where the decisions get made. So the mandate for savvy enterprise today is to deliver predictable, relevant value through personalized relationships, both internal and external, of course, and accommodate real-time shifts in marketplace needs and wants at the speed of dynamic conversation. Easy, right? Well, it can be when you have the right technology, but we'll talk about that too. So how does an enterprise know if they're not ready for the experience economy? There are many symptoms, and I'll just give you a moment to just take this in. You'll be able to view this later. This will be up as a recording, and we're also going to have a written paper on this, so you'll be able to see it that way too. More on that will be in the description below this video. So there are many symptoms that can indicate when it's time for an enterprise to upgrade its ability to deliver value in this increasingly fast-paced business environment. None of these can be considered a singular factor. Any one of these usually indicates systemic issues. So if you recognize your organization in just a few of these symptoms, then the time is now to really consider some new options in how you're delivering in the experience economy. The future of your enterprise depends on it. I know, dun, dun, dun. I should have prefaced that, but anyway. So yeah, and you can see this, erratic knowledge transfer, not driving quality leads, promoting brand awareness poorly in a saturated environment. That means the differentiator's not there. So what's the brand experience, right? So these are probably an overwhelming list. That wasn't the intention, but just so you can see that it can take many different forms. So let's talk about why customer experience is actually not the right goal. Kind of twist your mind when I said that, right? It's like, wait, what? So while the customer experience is the formula for success in enterprise today, it doesn't usually consider employees and their experience. And that is mission critical. So when we're only thinking customer-facing personnel, people that are on the front lines and actually talking with and relating and building relationships with the customer, maybe customer service or support, that those employees are sometimes the most, overlooked group. I don't want to say that. It gets taken for granted that they know how to do what they're doing to create that experience. So, and customer experience in the traditional sense also presumes that the brand is going to control and dictate what the customer experience should be in processing buyers down the assembly line of delivering purchased goods, whether products or services. That would be the kitten. He's helping, right? So anyway, as we covered earlier, the customer experience is usually broader than the brand knows and can control. And generally, it's only meaningful to the brand when the customer fits their mold of expectations. So we've got to flip that. It's got to be about meeting the customer, right? So the truth of it is the customer owns the brand experience, and the brand has to live up to the brand has to live up to that, or risks becoming irrelevant. Oh my goodness, he's on my desk. Holy cow. Okay, so this is a new one for me, I'm just saying. So we'll just laugh through this together. Anyway, so the old formula for success also assumes that customers are something other than people with rich, full, robust lives. The assumption is that the competition is another company, but the reality is that daily life is the competitor. Laundry, cleaning the house, going to the grocery store, everything else takes precedence in everyday living. So the real competition for any enterprise is customer attention and kittens. So, but too often enterprises do not know their real differentiator, and much less their customer or the conversation that they're leading or should be leading or could be leading in the marketplace. And that means that they're missing the mark with customer experience anyway. So there's some multiple layers to this. Relationships, including business relationships, are about an exchange of value. And ideally, they are something that cannot be obtained elsewhere. So we value what we cannot get elsewhere, right? That's a valuable relationship exchange. It's not sometimes even about the product itself, but about the personality and the way something is done. So he's crawling. Anyway, so when the value is mutually beneficial, the relationship is going to be sustained over time. And when the value becomes less than the investment put into it, the relationship will change. The right goal, instead of having customer experience as the goal, the right goal is this exchange of value that's relevant, frictionless, that's a word that you need to pay attention to, and ideally delightful for all parties. So let's talk about how to, why enterprises aren't changing. With this, when customer loyalty changes with just one swipe, I mean, just one click, margins are dropping, technology is streamlining operations, but customer buying behaviors are having to shift to accommodate new options, and global markets are getting more competitive. Big brands are going out of business because they aren't heeding that call. Blockbuster Video, Circuit City, Pan Am, Woolworths, Tower Records, Polaroid. There's so many. The list of these now defunct enterprises is just, it's growing. It is growing. And with the carcasses of these former giants of enterprise being kind of strewn around the business landscape, and the knowledge of the changes and factors that can lead to these outcomes, why isn't there a greater sense of urgency for enterprises to take note and act accordingly? Well, so what's happening is enterprises are still doing what they've always done, despite the obvious evidence that they need to take new action. So why is that happening? Why are these factors not urgent enough to incite transformation? And in 2 words, it's really about human nature. Human nature, 2 words. So let's talk about business psychology 101. Humans have a need to prove that what they already know and believe is right. So they look for evidence to support that belief. It's about knowing that our worldview is right, because if we're not right about what we know, then what else are we wrong about? Okay, say that 3 times fast. This is really about self-preservation in a way, because if we don't know what we know, then what else can we be wrong about? So it can be destabilizing to learn that you don't know what you think you do. And that includes for kitties. I thought this kitty was going to be sleeping. I had it all worked out anyway. So the natural urge is to prove ourselves right. So to go back to the way that it's always been done before means that we're going back to what it is that we know, circumstances, knowledge. I am muted. Okay, hold please. I'm not really sure what happened. I don't really know what happened. That had to be the kitty. So I'm so sorry. I have no idea. Can you hear me now? I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yes, we can hear you, Lynn.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so I have no idea. This kitten is roaming around all over my computer. It's exciting. So this is going to be this is a moment in my professional life that is going to be a memory forever burned in my mind. Anyway, so let's get back to it. So we have the belief that we need to know that we're right. So number 1, so we're always going to default back to our comfort zone of what it is that we think we already know. 2, we also have basic human nature around what we will give whatever is urgent, crying kitty, more importance than a greater priority than what's truly important, which is sharing this information with you. And I apologize for that, but it's these little urgencies that take priority, and sometimes the important gets sacrificed. So what happens in an enterprise is that the necessary bandwidth and timing to do what's best for long-term success does not necessarily happen. So we will respond to the things that are crying for our attention. That was a pun. Anyway, so, and when we do that in enterprise, that can actually result in what's called shadow IT, because when it comes to technology, because people are actually trying to work around what is they think what's urgent for them. That's what they're doing. They're going for what's urgent for them versus what's important for the organization. And so they go out and they just solve their own problems and then say, oh, here, IT team, figure it out, solve it, make it work. And that is a problem, right? That can pose some real challenges and have larger ramification than maybe they're thinking about. So the last factor, did we change slides? We did. Oh, have mercy. Well, his name is Leo, by the way. Leonardo stands for Leonardo da Vinci because he's so creative. Anyway, so one more factor that is keeping enterprises from changing is that people like change, but they don't really want to be changed. So they are, people fear in a situation like this in an enterprise, people fear they're going to lose their jobs. They feel like they might lose status. They feel like they might not be able to feed their families the way they always have. I mean, it's very real. This goes right to core survival. So the only way to create something different is obviously for things to change and for the enterprise to step out of the collective comfort zone and embrace the new. And the best way to do that is to involve people in the process. That gives people a sense of belonging and power in influencing the new way of being as it emerges for systematic transformation. But altogether, when you put human nature, marketplace changes, basic psychology, all of this can lead to stagnancy. And that's why enterprises aren't changing. The end of an enterprise is not really the result of just one tactic or one person or one anything. It's really a larger question of these symptoms that we talked about that will foretell decline. So not one factor can be looked at, but a concert of them can be considered. So, okay, so I think he's sleeping now. I think we have time together. Let's take it and run. So here's what we know. Daily activities are not moving the enterprise into a more competitive and sustainable stance. It is faster and more efficient to handle your company's existing limitations and constraints with a healthy sense of urgency versus letting your competition build your company and your brand for you. So the other part about the controlled chaos of deliberate systemic transformation means that everyone in the organization needs to be empowered to act and shape the outcome. Urgency has a significant role in everyday workday priorities because that gives momentum toward delivering greater value. At the same time, the important things really need to become have a place on the radar of what's happening. So within the context of what we know today, there's really one aha that needs to be understood as the X factor in enterprise today. And it's really just this. It's very simple. All the buzzy words, that those just need to be peeled away in order to get to the real pivot point for enterprises, which is to deliver a human experience that is relevant, practical, timely, and meaningful. Make it efficient, seamless, and delightful, and do it now because the window is closing and there's going to be something new coming. No doubt. That's the nature of business. It's always reinventing itself. So we need to keep up with that. So what's possible with reinvention? Why does this matter? Well, experience reinvention is not just fixing what's not working, but it's really innovating to do things differently, to get to the effective, seamless, delightful, and intentional experience. As a short list of what this means for an organization. These are just some. You'll be owning the right conversation in the market. You will be using data to take insightful action. You will be creating the right content that will enhance your credibility and authority and value. As a content person, without content, think about it like this: in the absence of content, what do you really have in business, right? So content is pivotal. You'll know that you have the right content when you have all of these things working for you around crafting this delivery, let's say value delivery mindset. Maybe I'm just talking now. But that's really what it is. It's having the awareness and then following through on that. And it's about having dialogue and exchange and finding out what matters. So it's back to real people, really. So the other thing that we didn't really talk about so much here is going for the long game. A lot of times we think, oh, it's just about that one customer that's in front of us, and that is vital. I don't want to take away from that. At the same time, that one person, it's not about that one person, because it's about all the people they know and all the stories they're going to tell. And when they're successful, they want to share that with everybody, and that's what makes them advocates and ambassadors for your enterprise. So with all of this, it's about using technology to help deliver these intentional experiences in a human. It's technology, but it's more human to human, because you're basing what you're doing on what people are wanting. So the reward is going to be that customers are converting and staying longer, there's happier employees, there's more satisfied partners, and the bottom line result is more profit, which is just a byproduct of delivering greater value through the brand experience at all touch points. So with that, we just got to say, XTIVIA can make your life easier. And really at this point now, you cannot unlearn what you know now. You really need to consider how things would be different and having a new resilience and meeting evolving experience needs and wants. It's about frictionless enterprise, taking the friction away from the process of delivering greater value, in having more substantive relationships and a stronger brand presence, in saving human hours, staff time, by supporting customers to self-direct their problem solving, that's really the epitome of personalized experience, right? While addressing user needs and concerns, internal customers, and making sure that all of this is matched to the brand promise that you are putting out in the marketplace. So what would you do if you were going to do this differently? That really becomes the question. So while an organization may never truly feel ready for it, transformation is inevitable. It is happening. Really, your only choice is whether you do it proactively or ride out whatever changes are just going to come in. So you can either run toward it and embrace it, or wait for it to come and smack you upside the head, I guess. But I don't know. That might not have been the best metaphor, but sometimes that's what it takes, right? We just got to wake up. So it's really, in the experience economy, it is time to become bolder in your commitment to customer and user experience, to your brand promise. And your approach must be for your experiences to be effective, seamless, delightful, and intentional. You can find a lot of coaching and content about how to do enterprise-wide transformation, but what you cannot find elsewhere is XTIVIA's expertise, perspective, and experience. If you could see the difference in the game, it would be like watching Pac-Man versus playing Stellaris. So I thought that was kind of a fun metaphor, right? So, really, there's no one-size-fits-all technology for enterprise. There's only the best technology solution for your brand and your customers and your users and your IT infrastructure. And the good news is that as you deliver more intentional experiences, the outcome and the reward is that customers are going to be converting and staying longer. You'll have increased revenue. Employees are going to stay longer, which is increased performance and less recruiting and training time. Just like it's difficult for a surgeon to self-operate, it's difficult to begin the experience of upgrading your value delivery process by knowing only what you know now. All of us need additional input to help our growth. We have to get out of what it is that we already think we know, because remember, we're looking to prove ourselves right. So you need to be able to see your operations objectively, and you need to be able to question the comfortable assumptions that you have about your market. And you need to assess your current IT infrastructure, processes, workflows, all of that to determine the gaps as well as the opportunities. XTIVIA's experts can help with all that because they're not just technical geniuses. They are, which they are, but they understand business process and outcomes. And our intention is to help you achieve your business goals by listening and providing strategic and adaptive technology solutions, and then becoming your trusted technology partner, working with you to achieve a goal. Basically, if you can think of a business outcome, XTIVIA can create it with technology. So there we go. So, and this is so important. Most companies are going to try to do what everyone else is doing, but they're going to try to do it faster, cheaper, better, smarter, whatever, while expecting fresh and personalized outcomes. But Einstein said it. You cannot do the same thing over and over again, but expect different results. And really, you cannot adapt something that's working for someone else and call it your own, because it may not, that may not work. So it's about what your organization needs. So keep that in mind. Remember, we are in the experience economy, and call us.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Awesome presentation. And personally, I find your cat sounds very adorable. So thank you all so much for joining us today. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Lynn or anyone here at XTIVIA if you have questions come up, or if you're interested in all the ways XTIVIA can make your life easier. And another reminder, these live sessions are happening every second and fourth Thursday of the month. So please tune in for our next one. And Lynn, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And have a great Thursday, everybody.